Pick us in the group.
Yeah. Okay, we've begun.
Here we are, early in the
Early
morning.
in the morning for us, kind of in the evening for you guys, but welcome
Exactly.
everyone for to Witch Bitch, where we talk the real tea.
Mm,
And today, you must forgive us if we make any mistakes in our words, because we've just woken up. But what an episode! I have been looking forward to this episode for a while.
mm.
So I'm very, very excited to introduce you guys. We have Baz and Priska and on the show today, and I'm excited because usually when we have guests like you guys, where you have a platform and an audience and already have built up a huge, um, I guess, following and not just following but like reputation.
Yeah.
um, it's interesting to have these episodes because I feel like not many people will know your awakening story, and it's not something that you share relatively often, or like publicly. So I'm excited to hear this. Like, how did you guys first wake up? Was it something where you just automatically from birth had these strong connections, or was it something like a big moment?
Mm.
Yeah.
You want to
Do you
start?
want to start?
Start you. You start.
Me
Yeah,
start?
you say.
Me. I will start. Um, well, in retrospect, when I look back, I think it always has been there. But there was never the ability or the space to evolve it or to expand it or to really dive into it because I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the knowledge, and I also was not raised up in an environment where it was a thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it like I think it was more of an accumulation of different situations that led up to the big awakening moment.
Mm.
Um, like I have been married for almost 12 years.
Not to me.
Not to Priska. Well, I'm married to Priska
Now.
now, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about my ex. And it was a beautiful marriage, but I always had a feeling that I did not fully belong there, or it was not giving me exactly what I needed. I was not able to give exactly what she needed. And I had the feeling that I actually was coasting along.
Mm.
Um, and then at one point, there was this moment where I read a book by Dan Millman called now I forgot the
Peaceful
title, The
warrior.
Peaceful Warrior, The Journey of the Peaceful
Ah,
We
Warrior.
know
oh
it.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have that right here.
Oh, look at
Ah,
this.
yeah, that one. That
So
Yeah.
good.
one. Yeah. And I remember when I started reading that, I had to cry my heart out, and it resonated so deeply on all kinds of levels that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
Um, and when I started to look up the book, there was one word, shamanism, that jumped into my
Awareness.
consciousness. And I then started to look into it, and I found a beautiful education in Holland, where I live. That was all about shamanism, how you could become a shamanic healer, practitioner, and that was the first step into my awakening because I learned so much new things about myself, things about my masculinity that I always had suppressed to please my mom.
Mm.
Um, so many things came up where I felt so drawn to, and I did not know exactly what to do with it because, again, it was so new, and I really felt that I didn't have the expertise nor the tools to work with that. And all these things actually led up to my big awakening, and it was in 2010 when I got the diagnosis of non-Hodgkin lymphatic cancer, and I had a stage 4, so it was quite severe. I had to undergo a lot of treatments, which ended in 3 very long hospitalizations where I also got a stem cell transplantation. And this was for me the moment where I felt, okay, this is my new beginning. This is my rebirth, because everything that didn't serve me anymore naturally disappeared. Like people that were in my life that did not serve me anymore, all of a sudden out of the blue disappeared.
Yeah.
New people came into my life. My heart for the first time opened so widely that it hurt, and it hasn't gone close after that anymore. And of course, I do have my moments where I close my heart out of self-protection or because I'm pissed or annoyed or whatever. But in basic, my heart is constantly open, and I can experience this beautiful flow of love and of the divine, and however you want to call it, source energy. So in a nutshell, that's what my big awakening was all about. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. It's so, when we hear these stories, there's always a challenge, like a life challenge that opens the person up, because that was part of my awakening too. My father had motor neurone disease and he passed away.
Yeah.
And it changed the landscape of my life after that. Like everything turned upside down. And it kind of makes you malleable. It kind of kneads you into this ball of clay that has to be reshaped into something else. And yeah, I just love hearing people talk about it, because I resonate with that story. I resonate with the hardship and with that journey of transformation. And a lot of people think that that type of like that scary thing that comes into their life is a challenge or a bad thing, something that to overcome, something, you know. I know that was me before it happened to me. I always was quite afraid of anything bad happening and coming in and, disturbing the peace. But it's like that was just the way I was looking at it. It was my fear speaking to me. It wasn't reality. And the reality of it was that it had to happen that way.
Yeah.
And it was something that was, in the end, a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all in your perspective, isn't it?
Oh, 1,000,000%. I've posted this on our page before, but one time I had a huge, I guess, epiphany about hardship and hard times, because I think, so growing up, I watched my grandfather get sick, and that was kind of a big thing for my whole family. And it was a huge awakening moment for a lot of my family. But for me, I think it made me want to be asleep a little bit more, because I was so young. Like, I was about 11 at the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of shut down from it, instead of open myself. And it really scared me to what bad things could happen in life, because I saw what happened to him, and so it freaked me out. It's like, if that could happen to my grandfather, such a good, beautiful human being, imagine what could happen to me, or to my mom, or to anyone that I know and love.
Yeah.
But recently I had a big thing about what you were saying about how it's all around perspective and how you choose to look at the bad things, and we really do have the power as individuals to turn anything into something good. It's up to us to see if it's, like, to choose if it's a bad or a good
To
thing.
take the lesson out of it, to take
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
power back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always call it the gift in the ugly wrapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
Yes.
But it's so true
Yes.
what you both. It's so true what you both share about. Like when I look at this sickness that I had, like when I was in the midst of it, of course I was afraid and I was
Mm,
scared and all the feelings that came up. But in the end, it was like the biggest teacher that I have ever had in my life. And
Mm.
I think it's important to be able to also turn it around and to shift it like a diamond, that you can start looking at it from all different places so that you also see its worth. Which doesn't mean that you have to push away like certain dark or sad emotions that come up, because it's
yeah.
not about surpassing anything, but it's really about going through the pain and somehow seeing the light and in the end of the tunnel, where this big teaching awaits
Mm.
you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Priska, I want to hear yours.
So yes, so you said in the beginning, did you always were you always awake? And I think I was quite awake as a child, as a
Mhm.
small child. I remember that I knew why I was here, that I had some kind of a plan, some kind of a mission. I just forgot the mission. I just forgot what it was about.
Yes.
This I really recall, and because I was so aware of everything, I felt very, very lonely. I was like, the fuck, what am I doing here? Like the grown-ups are not grown up, they're just weird, they lie, you know, they I just felt these things and I felt so disconnected from it all. And I think that's when I also started to shut down, because I also had the feeling when I'm opening up like this, there's also opening up something, and I was just so scared of that, so I
Mm,
just shut down everything. And you know, my parents are not very, like, now they became kind of spiritual too, but back then they were not spiritual at all. And I grew up in a very Christian household, because my
mm,
grandparents, and they lived in the same house as we did, so they were very religious. So I grew up with the Bible and everything. So yeah. And at one point, like my whole life until I think I was around 27, 8, I was just like one crisis after the other, like just
oh,
one life crisis after the other. It was really hard. I became an actress. That was my big dream, and I did acting school, and I tried to get into the business, but it was always just everything was so difficult, and I was looking for the meaning of life. And then the real big awakening, or just like, again, like everybody else, I had this big moment of breakdown when my big first love broke up with me. And I was just like, shit, I don't have anything anymore. I was quite sick at that point. I had to give up acting, I thought, because I was just I burned out, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I have lost this big love, and I just felt like, what's left? Like, I'm just a
mm,
shell. I don't know anymore. And that's when I had to pick myself up from the floor. I literally was on my famous moment on the kitchen floor, where I was like, please, somebody help. I'm just feeling so lost. And I really felt this strength coming back in. And then I had my first Reiki initiation, and then I did my coaching educations, and just one thing like just led to the other. And all of a sudden I could speak to angels. I was like, what the hell, what's happening? Like, it's just, it was all a bit much at this moment, but all these things kept happening. And then yeah, and I think another big well, of course we always had these initiations afterwards, you know, like, okay, you now the how it works, are you sure you really know how it works, you know, can you really do it? And then certainly when I met Bas, I mean, many know the story about how he fell in love when he was still married, and you know, he had to go through divorce, and I had to move from Switzerland to the Netherlands, and blended family and sickness, and so many things happened. And yeah, it was just a lot. But also, again, what we just talked about before, like all these things led to me becoming stronger, or coming seeing things with more compassion for myself, for others. Like they all were amazing and important teachings for me. And certainly
Mhm.
this love like we had, because I think if I wouldn't have loved him so much, I wouldn't have gone through so many things that I went through in the last couple of years, because I would have just said, you know, fuck this, I'm going home. I'm done with this shit. And just because I loved him so much, it was like, just okay, woman, put on your big girl pants, and you have to go through it. There's no hiding. You just have to face it. And so yeah, that was just a bit the story.
so that's what they meant when they said to you, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yes,
They were
yes.
like, get ready, girl, because we're bringing
Yeah.
it."
Oh my goodness, and did they bring it? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Yeah, wow. I resonate so much with your story because as you were telling it, I was like, whoa, that happened to me, or oh, that was the
Mm,
same. Like, I went through a very similar thing, and actually, while you were talking, I just realized, God, I'm still like on my
You're still in
aware.
it.
Yeah, I'm still there. I mean, I think that's a good thing because it means there's so much more to experience. But yeah, sometimes I think, oh yeah, I'm pretty awake, and then like the next week, I look back at me myself the week before, and it's like, no, you still have so much to learn, and then I'm like, God, that was only a week ago. What else is there? What am I going to be like
yeah,
next week? Um,
yes.
I'm feeling that so strongly at the moment, but that was really beautiful, and I really resonate when you were saying how, as a kid, you look at adults and
Mm.
like in confusion almost, like
Mhm.
no, they lie, they don't make any sense. Like a big thing for me when I was a kid was looking at adults and always seeing so much fear in
Mm.
adults about everything, and I just never understood it. It was so confusing to me.
Yeah,
Like,
because she had no fear.
yeah, I
Wow.
yeah, I didn't. I
No.
mean, I do a little bit now, but I'm nowhere near as like my awareness is pretty good, so I'm not too afraid of things.
Yeah, she kind
But
of like, you didn't ever get to a point where the fear really gripped you, apart
mm,
from Nono passing away, my dad.
yeah,
That fear really gripped her. But
Mm.
you, as a kid, you were pretty fearless.
yeah, I was.
Wow.
Yeah, one thing that I was never afraid of is just being myself.
Hmm.
And I
Yes,
was
I
like to
remember.
the point of embarrassing my whole entire family. Like I'm not even joking. Like I would wear the craziest clothes. I didn't care. I would be like out in public wearing,
Love
oh
it.
God, just like
There was a period of time where she was really into, what was the singer's name?
oh, this guy called Red Foo,
Red
and he
Foo.
was like the Everyday I'm Shuffling dude, if you ever remember that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't know
know
that.
this. I know the song, but I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah,
the
And
guy.
he used
Yeah,
to wear crazy glasses and like
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
colorful
colors.
clothes. And so she started to dress really colorfully, and she had these crazy glasses that were like had spikes on them and stuff. And one day she
So
was
cool.
all dressed in this stuff, and I said
Wow,
to her,
wow.
"Are you cool with your choices here, And she's like, "Yeah, like this is how I'm going." We were going out, and I said, "You realize people are going to be staring at you?" And she said, "Let them stare. I don't care."
So cool.
And I was
Wow.
like, "Cool.
So cool.
If you're all right with
Wow.
it, let's go."
What an awesome
Yeah.
child.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and and and, and I also reckon when I listen to your story that because when I when I got you always right, like Priska never had the feeling that she belonged, and she
Mm.
always had this longing for home, as in source, going back
Yes.
to where she came from. But when I listen to you, I have the feeling that you always had the feeling like that
I'm here.
I'm
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
I'm rooted,
I'm
I'm
going to
beloved.
make the best of it.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that part. I really was more like, I didn't really want to be in this body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also had an eating disorder for a long time. I just was like, just take me back, It's
Yeah.
just wrong
Yeah.
planet. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
here.
I resonate with that because I was never friends with my body either. I think it
Mm,
was the time in which I grew up in the 80s. It was really
yeah,
Ah,
there was a strong
like the
um
heroin chic.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
and the 90s particularly, like there was this whole zero, like
yeah,
size zero
Mm,
exactly.
obsession and
yeah.
lollipop kind of head, like big head, tiny little body.
True.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember when it happened, I remember I was at a friend's place, and we were swimming in the pool, and one of the boys called me fat, and
Mm,
I
Mm,
had never in my life, I was about 9 or 10 at the time, and I had never had anybody comment
on
on
your
my
body.
body in a negative way.
yeah.
And it turned the mirror, like I had this outward looking perspective, and it turned it all around onto me.
Yeah.
And then from
Oh,
that moment on, I was completely, um, my self-esteem was just ripped to shreds,
Yeah.
and I was conscious of myself after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such. Actually, that's such a. I think that's something everyone experienced, or a lot of people experience, where there was a moment for however long in their lives where they weren't aware of themselves.
No, I was
And
just me. Like there was no
yes,
separation. Me and my body were just one. And
yeah,
yeah.
then when that comment came that I'm fat, I wanted to disassociate myself from my body because it was a cause of pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then that was it. My relationship with my body, I basically broke up with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's taken me a lifetime to
Mm.
come back
Yeah.
Mm.
to be in my body and to be embodied. And
Mm.
part of
Yeah.
my journey in you know, my dad passing away, his body breaking down because motor neurone disease takes away the use of your muscles, so
which is what he had. Yeah,
yeah, you slowly can't move anymore.
Yeah.
So watching his body break down helped me to be grateful. Okay, yes, my body's not perfect, but it works and
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so like just been a journey of coming back
Mm.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful.
That's what this whole journey called life is about, to finally coming back home again, eh?
Yeah.
yeah,
Within
There's a
ourselves.
Welsh word actually, because my husband's Welsh, and there's
Mhm.
no other word in that's like it in the world. And it's about that longing that you had, Priska, for going home. It's
Mhm.
called Hiraeth.
Harath.
And it's that feeling of not being where you're supposed to be,
Mm.
but
Mm.
not really knowing where you're supposed to
Yeah.
be, but
Yeah.
wanting to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
there's a word for that.
In
Wow.
Welsh.
There's
In
a word
Welsh.
for that in
Wow.
Welsh, yes.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's also just that a word exists makes you less alone. Like I think I
Yes.
would love to know that.
The
You know,
people before you have felt
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I really think I came to church. It's still a thing with me, but I think now I really also love life and I see, that it's really about being embodied. This is why I'm here. I
Mm,
mean, I chose to be here, right? So, of course, I have a body. Of course, I need a body to do the work I'm doing and
Yeah.
also to experience life. And it's such a
mm.
gift, also. It's not just a burden, it's also a beautiful gift. And it just took a while for me to realize that, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, me too. Me
I'm.
Yeah,
too, 100%.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was really against my body. I was really against it. It was like, you never do what I want you to do,
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
and I never trusted it.
Yes.
And it's, and crying, like even having emotions and feeling things in my body to me was like, oh, like there you go again, making me feel sad, or,
Mm,
Wow.
now my eyes are leaking and
Yeah.
I hate that or whatever.
yeah,
mm,
Yeah.
And now I find, over the past few months actually, that people who are in distress or are feeling high emotions around me come to me and
wow.
Mm.
they feel that they can't express that emotion around others, so they come to me. It's like I have this beacon of safety or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they'll come, like particularly young girls in their 20s, like Juliet's age. They'll come to me and they'll tell me, this has just happened to me and I'm freaking out, and then they just burst into tears. It's happened to me 3 times in the last 3 months.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I think because they feel that you are, after all the work that you've done, that you are finally home in yourself. And
Yeah.
that creates
Yeah.
safety.
And the shame that I see in these girls for crying, they're
Mm.
they're they're like, it's happening in public,
Mhm.
Mm.
and they because usually at work, so it's happening in public, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm crying, and I'm like, that's your body's way of releasing it. You're overwhelmed right now. Your body is just doing what it's meant to do, and don't feel ashamed for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All humans do it.
You're being the voice that you needed
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
it's healing for me too, because if I'm providing something to those girls that I needed when I was their
Yes.
age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while doing that, you're also healing something within you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're in a teenager, yeah, who needed this support.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Juliet.
Yeah.
Mm.
I Another thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was how you mentioned, Priska, about being in a Catholic school, and that was
Mm.
a huge, or a Catholic family, and potentially a Catholic school. I don't
Yep.
know where I got that from. It was because I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I relate to that, and I think you also know because Mum went to a Catholic school too,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, it was just so interesting hearing you talk, because the moments where I felt the most disconnected was when I was at school. Um, Not just because it was Catholic, also because it's high school, but I think it was the two things mixed together that
Mm.
made for such a horrible time for me. But being like in religion and being in a religious space like Catholicism,
Mm.
that's a word, um,
Well said.
is it can be so disconnecting. Like it really,
Yeah. For something that's meant to connect you
yeah,
and feel that you belong, it's something that, because it's making you look outside yourself
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
putting your faith in something that's not connected to you.
yeah.
True.
I think there's sides to religion that are so that can be so beautiful, and some religions I really do connect with in some ways. But yeah, being put in a Catholic school was so interesting because I saw the insides of this place. Like the priest at our school, he was such a funny character. He hated
He
children.
hated kids.
He
Oh,
Oh,
crazy.
really? Wow.
Yeah, he did not like
and he
kids.
worked at a school owned church where like almost every week or every month there would be like a whole school mass filled with all these kids. And
Wow.
yeah, and he just did not like children. And
Wow.
being taught about religion, I knew I didn't agree with it. It was like I don't I don't agree with religion, but in religious spaces they don't really like to teach anything else other than their religion. So
Mm.
I was left in a place of feeling like, what is the point of this life? Do we
Mm.
just go nowhere when we die? Is it just black? I remember thinking like those kinds of thoughts growing up, because heaven and hell just never made sense to me, ever, ever,
Mm.
ever. So I
Mm.
was like, I don't think I believe in that. So what really is there? And it kind of sends you in this existential crisis of like, what is the point of
At 12
anything
years old.
at
Wow.
12 years old? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I remember her coming to me one day and saying, um, I think religion is sexist.
Mm.
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, like she didn't put it in those words, but she was like, the female in the story is
Yes.
so controlled and so diminished.
Yeah.
And,
Totally.
and the fact that God is a man, like
Yeah.
supposedly, and like all these questions that she had about the faith and what they were teaching them, and that it didn't resonate with her.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think actually that leads me to the question I wanted to ask you guys, which is about how you both started with your work together of
Mm.
teaching. Well, I think the way I would describe it to our audience is divine union between masculine and feminine in relationships of any kind, family, couples. Yeah, I'm so interested because that is such powerful work. Like, I
Mm.
I could not imagine having, like, I now know I have you guys. When it down the line with my future partner, I know where I'm going if we ever have any.
Yeah, not to me.
Yeah, it's like beyond couples counseling. It's like so much deeper, so much richer from what I've read on your page and on your website and stuff. So I'm so interested in how you guys started in that, and even just learn about how to work together in divine union.
Mm,
Mm.
Mm.
that's a
So
beautiful question.
it's a very
That's
beautiful
very
question.
beautiful.
I
Yeah.
just I just want to weave in what you just have been sharing about the sexist in religion, because I too had a very split relationship with religion while growing up, and because also for me the feminine was way too, it
Suppressed.
just didn't fit in the picture I had how it should be.
Yeah, the
And
Virgin Mary.
yeah, exactly. Virgin Mary, like the whore or the prostitute or the Virgin
Yes, and they
Mary,
would never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, exactly. Like put them apart, very
Yes,
Yes.
far.
it's
Yeah.
so
So
debilitating, so
exactly,
debilitating.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly. And in after my big, crisis with after the breakup, when I had my, let's call it, awakening, I got my hands on the books by Kathleen McGowan, and she has become a friend. I've never met her up till this day, but we always WhatsApp, and she's really a friend now. And she has written these beautiful books about Mary Magdalene. And I read this first book of hers, and I just cried for,
Yeah,
I don't know, days, because this is what felt truth to me. Also the Mary Magdalene manuscripts that have been, just taken out of the Bible, and everything that was about the sacred feminine has been taken out and has been
Yeah.
kind of just killed by Christian church, and kind of, yeah, it really was like this kind of whole, how you call this, um, I have just loved the word. But they just erased it basically from the whole planet, and I just had this whole, wow, yes, that's what's true. And all of a sudden I had this big hunger for, the masculine and the feminine, how they can co-create, and this whole concept kind of just got awakened within me, and I really just was so curious about all these topics, and I dreamt about having a love like this was this
yeah,
huge dream, like I want to have a relationship like this. So when I met Bas and we had this, all of a sudden it was like, wow, this really exists. That's crazy. It was just this, wow, this is even possible, next to the whole, very 3D shit that we also have to go through, like every couple, this also exists. And I think when we got together, it was kind of just the next logical step that we would do that.
Yeah, that's true because we never, well, of course we talked about it a lot, especially when we decided that we would start to work together and create a business together. But the journey towards that was so incredibly natural because we already were living it,
Mm.
and because we decided that we wanted to put it into work, into something that we could bring to people, almost forced us to become mental about it and to create ideas.
Mm.
And if we would not have done that, it would for us be just the most normal thing in the whole world.
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
that's
Um,
so hard. Putting
Mhm.
yeah,
words
Oh,
and structure around a feeling that you have, around a way of being, and
yeah,
putting it as a product into the world for other people to follow, like a roadmap.
yeah,
I think this
I
is
can't
especially,
imagine how much work would have gone into that. Like so much work.
I have to say, you are quite a natural at these kind of things. I really like, he's so good with words and kind of just
I
translating.
know. I read his
I
posts
know,
all
I
the
know,
time.
people know. His post gets shared like wild
Yes.
into the world, and it's so beautiful because you really are so good in this. Where I sometimes also was like, wow, how could you even, I would not even know how to start writing that out. And I really think it's a big gift that you have, like writing.
It's beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's
I'm in
always
agreement.
now for me it's always important to I always try to go back to the place where I would not know anything about it.
Ah,
And then
yeah.
I try to simplify it. And once I have this roadmap of okay, it's about this and this and this and this, then I try to translate it into posts where I can also put in a little bit of poetry and
Mm.
put in some beautiful words, so that also the artist in people might get ignited by what I write. But it's
Well, it
really about
works.
going back to the, thank you very much. It's really about going back to the simplest beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, to
There's
analyze it in some way because I'm way too much, I'm just too emotional. My logic is like
Mm.
all over the place, and it's like, oh, when I then read his stuff, I was like, yes, yes, this. But I could not do it the way he's doing this. It's really,
But that's so because what you also said about the divine union, how you called it so beautifully, that is actually also like an example of how it works, divine union. Because I tap into her energy and I feel her feminine nature birthing all these ideas, and it's quite directionless, which is very generalizing, of course, which is what the feminine is all about. And then I come with my more masculine logic and I create it into some sort of a plan or a structure in order to bring it out into the world. So it's really a beautiful co-creation
It's
and a
true.
divine union birthing whatever we do.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really it's super powerful seeing you guys
Mm.
together and the work that you do, and I really mean that because
mm,
um my personal romance journey is non-existent. And it's because I have this feeling that I know I'm going to find my own version of what you guys have.
Mm.
Mm.
And I've never been able to settle for less just for the purpose of having a boyfriend or a partner.
mm,
And that's
mm,
a good
And
thing.
yeah, but
mm,
I grew a little bit insane for a while because everyone tells you, oh, you're insane, you've got to settle, like your standards are too high, um things like that that
I'll
kind
never
of,
say that to you.
no, you haven't, but yeah, like other people,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah.
of just a lot of,
But then you see people in your life, and I know that you do because we've had these conversations, who did settle.
yeah.
And you're like, they're insane.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I've got
Yeah, that's
I've got
true. That's
very
true.
high standards when it comes to my relationships, not just in a romantic sense, but also in just friends in any way, but especially that way. So
Because you're looking for connection.
yeah, yeah.
yes,
But
Mm.
growing up, that was like very
Mm.
different from anyone.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was very, very different. And so
Yeah.
watching you guys, it's like seeing what I want for myself like in front of me, and it's like, oh, it is possible. Like,
yes,
yeah, and I'm doing the right thing by for myself, and that's not to put anything on people who have settled or who have, you
no,
know, that's their own journey. It's
Mm.
just not mine, and I've never been able to like, because I've fought with myself a lot, like when there's been potential partners or like someone that I might like in this way, or that it's like, oh, he's cute, but I've never ever allowed myself, even through the fighting in my own
mm,
body, in my own mind, I've never been able to yeah, just
Allow it.
allow, like, I've never been in a relationship yet, so that's
Mhm.
one thing, but it's because I just know I won't be able to be deal with it if I had a relationship where I wasn't fully
mm-hmm,
um,
Invested.
invested.
Mm.
And
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm,
yeah, it's just beautiful seeing you guys and seeing the possibility in front of me right now
Yeah,
of
you're a
like,
great example.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
thank you,
Thank you very
yeah,
much. And I also want to applaud you,
yeah,
because it takes strength to walk your own path,
mm-hmm,
especially when you are in your age and when you are in high school and when you watch series and movies that
hmm,
are about people that are in your age group. It's all about, oh, you need to have a boyfriend and this and
Yeah.
that. And I think it's so powerful that you, with an open heart and in a grounded way, decide to keep walking that path for yourself and to just wait for whenever this thing that your soul craves for, whenever that shows up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really
absolutely.
beautiful, and I really bow for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And the time,
your body will know, really
yeah.
trust your body, because I was also super late bloomer. My first sex was with 21, and my first real boyfriend I had with 24, 5, but like everybody had, like my friends constantly boyfriends, and I just couldn't do it. Also, I couldn't do one night stands, and I would never, it's not about judging it at all. I wished I could do it, honestly. I feel
Yeah.
like, why do I have to be like this? It's just so complicated. But it just didn't feel aligned with me. And I think it's really just so important that no matter what it is, in which direction, that we just are, in alignment what feels
Yeah.
true to us, and that we don't follow a trend or something other people do. And I really honor this, if people, no matter what it is, that you just stay true to yourself. Same with you wearing the clothes, and the weird glasses, and just that's so awesome. And it's really like such an empowering thing also for other people to see.
Yeah.
We don't have to be all mainstream. There are other people who are brave enough to just walk their own path and just you
Yeah.
know
Remind me very much of my oldest child,
yeah.
because he was born assigned female at birth, but he defines more as a boy, and now he's 17. But he completely does his own thing. He wears clothes that he likes. Sometimes he's more feminine, the other times he looks more masculine. And like sometimes I had conversations, because for me it was so clear that he defined as masculine, and then all of a sudden he would wear heels and feminine clothes, and then I said, but can you explain me what is happening? And then he said things like, I don't owe anybody my masculinity. And
What a challenge.
yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
such a beautiful mirror, because he really shows me that he is so incredibly authentic and so much himself, and he doesn't give any flying fuck what other
Mm,
people think. And that's really a beautiful, beautiful mirror for me, but also for everyone around him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I I really honor that in other people. I think, um, you know, it's something. It's a gift, definitely, that I don't know, just I've had, and I totally resonate with your son of just like not having it. It feels sometimes like I just don't have another choice other than
Yeah.
to be myself. It's not,
Yeah.
and I do fight with my ego. I fight with my, with my mind, and sometimes my mind wins, and then I'll go down that path of not being me, and then it's like, oh well, that
That
was
was
a
a
shit
disaster.
outcome, and then it's like it's just become a thing of it genuinely not being a choice, and that
Mhm.
thing, that quote that you said of I don't own anyone anything, and I don't owe anyone anything, and it really does feel like that. And how you were saying, Priska, about how your body knows,
Mm.
yeah.
I agree with that, and I've always known that, and I think that's one thing, the biggest reason why I haven't been in a relationship, why I haven't bargained with my ego, or uh, with going down a road, going down a relationship with someone that I didn't feel fully safe with, or that my body fully relaxed with,
Mm-hmm.
because it's always been like that, where I would, maybe my heart or some part of me would want to open to this person, but it was like my body was physically
Not doing it.
still, like I
Mm.
was like frozen, I was cramped
Yeah.
up, like I my body would refuse to open, and it
Mm.
was such a frustrating thing at first, because you know I'm watching romance movies, all my friends like are getting boyfriends, and all my friends are down that road, and it's like I want that, but I physically, like, it wouldn't, my body would
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
open, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't willing to push through that. I was like, do other people push through this? Do other people just not experience this? Is this why it's happening? But I realized that everyone is just on their own path and have
Yeah.
different connections with people and different choices that are on their soul path, and
And different connections to themselves.
different connections to
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think
True.
everyone's story is very, very unique, but mine has never ever been, um, let's say, the beaten path. I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
walked the beaten
Cool.
path
Yeah.
before. And it's
Mhm.
been very frustrating at times because
I get it.
sometimes I think you guys, everyone can
I
agree
want
that
to be normal.
I want to be normal. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The amount of times like inner child me has, or maybe inner teenage me has said those words
Mm,
is, yeah, it's so strong. But I know that if I just keep going down this path, if I keep fighting through it and I keep just being myself, yeah, I'm kind of seeing myself in the future in a way, looking at you guys, because I know as you guys are talking and sharing your story and everything, I feel
Hope.
no, it's more than that. It's like I don't know, it's finally seeing what I envision for myself. It's like I know
Mhm.
I'm gonna get there one day, and it's really
Yes.
beautiful. Like I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
because I've
so
never
beautiful.
seen it before. I've never seen what I've wanted, like kind of like the Hiraya thing. Like
Yeah.
I've always had this vision of my future and my partner, but being told for so long by the external world, like that kind of connection isn't real. You have to
yeah.
be realistic. You have to lower expectations. You have to lower your standards. All those things have just been like what I've heard,
Yeah, that's a
and
real strong one for girls.
I
Yeah.
don't know, seeing it, it's like no, it's real. Like it's like seeing
Uh,
my fairy tale in real life, watching you guys. And I know that I don't really
That's
know
a lot of
you, and
pressure.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to. I know it's more than that, and I know it's not easy, or I'm sure you guys have had, tough times with each other, but it's
yeah.
just I don't know, it brings me hope. Like, I'm right, this is out there, and I can find my own version of
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
will.
And you will.
And you absolutely will, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I really believe if you have this strong feeling, then it's because you know it's
It's
possible
out
for you and it's
there. It's
out
out
there.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it
I
is
want to
possible.
I want to know how old you guys were when you met. How old were you?
I was 32 and he was 43. We were
Yeah.
11 years apart.
11-year difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of still a
So I hope it will come a little bit earlier for you.
yeah.
We'll see.
Yes. And I would also say, maybe there, I don't know, maybe there will be something in between that will not be the final station that still feels true and aligned in that moment. And that's
Yeah.
okay too, because,
Yeah.
yeah, just as something to put out there, it doesn't have to be that you, and it can totally be
Mm,
that you find your Mr. Right, I don't know how old you are, next year, and then you will just become old and happy with them, and that's totally possible. And it can also be that there will be somebody else, like a teacher, because I really know without my former partner, when we broke off, when I
me
had this
too.
big crisis, and we got back together and broke off again and got back together and broke, it's a whole thing, it was a whole thing. But without him, I would never have been ready for this kind of love. I just couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And you said yourself, you
Me
too,
too.
you
The
needed your
same.
ex-wife and all your other girlfriends as
All
well.
my other
You had
girlfriends.
many. It's just true. You just have many girlfriends before me. It's just true.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, of course, I think that every person that comes in your life, be it romantically or be it in friendship, is there to gives you something that you need, or it gives you something that you need to learn still.
Mm,
Mm.
And whenever you have gotten that lesson or that gift in the ugly wrapping or in the beautiful wrapping, then you can move on again. And that doesn't mean that you have to partner hop in order to finally reach the Mr. Right guy, or
Mm.
but I think it works like that, that you collect
yeah,
life lessons which
yeah.
create this expansion within yourself in order to call in exactly what you want in
Hmm.
the end.
And we always say if we would have met earlier on, because of course a part of me, it has been difficult, being like falling in love with a married man, number one, but also the whole blended family and, the whole already existing system that he had. And we never had this beautiful first romantic phase, where it's just you and me and we can travel and we just, we never had that. It was always about logistics and kids and eat like
Food.
all the food and cooking and washing and all the things. It was very practical from the beginning. Um, and at the same time we both know that we wouldn't have been ready for each other, like really really not. And also I really am grateful for the time I had with my ex-partner,
Yep.
to also to like, because he was a great guy. We just didn't work together, but he was a great guy, and I know that he also had a great time with his ex-wife, and she was exactly what he needed at that time. So
Yeah.
it's really also seeing that it's not just about the end goal. And at the same time, I think what you just said, it's so important you listen to your body, because your body will know when it's a yes,
Always. Yeah.
and if it's a no. Because I too had offers before my ex, and it was like always like no, it just didn't feel aligned, it didn't feel right. A guy wanted most to be with me, and I was like freaking out. And I remember when I then finally called him, it's not going to work. I was dancing like I'm free. And we only just kissed once or something. It was like nothing yet, but I was just feeling so already suffocating, and we didn't even start the relationship yet. But just the idea that he now thought that he would be my boyfriend was just killing me. And it's just, yeah, you really will feel it in your body when you're meeting the person that is meant for you on this path.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that I wanted to say to that is like it's so true that it's not about the end result. Like it's not about finding that one perfect person. I think I never know how many partners I'm going to have in the future. I'm only 20, so I still have time. But yeah, it's I think I could it's possible to have, I don't know, just that same divine union, I'll say, but maybe not with my future husband or lifelong partner. It could be with someone I'm just with for a certain period, and then we move
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
But it's about, with no matter who it is, always feeling that strong, balanced connection, which is what I see with you guys, and that
Mutual respect.
flow between masculine and feminine, and recognizing it within each other and working to the best of your potential with that. Like there's a flow between masculine and feminine, and it's the reason why we have masculine and feminine, and it's meant to be this beautiful dance. And I think that dance has been lost in time, and that's really what I'm looking for. Like it's not about finding my lifelong partner, although
it's not the fairy tale.
no, it's
the connection.
it's that connection
Yeah.
of learning from the masculine, and the masculine learning from me, and being able to give each other what we need to thrive. I mean,
And both partners, both people being in it together.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's never 50-50. It's
Never
always
50-50,
100-100.
yeah.
It's 100-100
And it's
always.
also it's also about recognizing, because like masculine, feminine, but like I'm doing a men's program. Yeah, I'm guiding 10 other guys through a program, but we talk also a lot about our own inner feminine and our own inner dark feminine, and also in our relationship, it what you say, it's really a dance, because sometimes I am in my feminine, and then Priska is a little bit more in her masculine. And of course, I am mostly, because that's where I feel most at home and that fits me the best. I'm most of the time I am in my masculine, but I also love it to let go of control and to receive and to be tender to myself and to
Dance through the house.
dance through the house on the pussycat dolls when I clean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we really
Do
have
you
this.
find, Baz, sorry to interrupt, but this is a burning
Bas, I
question.
think we're saying it wrong with our Australian accent, I think.
Yeah, very Aussie.
Sorry, is it Bas?
It's Bas, yeah. But
Bas.
Like I'm in a group, this men's group, and there's also one Aussie, and he also calls me Baz always.
Yeah.
I also used to call him Bas, in the beginning when I didn't know how to say it yet. So it's Bas is okay.
Yeah.
Because here in Australia, if you're named Barry, everyone calls you Bazza.
So,
Oh,
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a thing here.
Bassa.
Baz.
Yeah, Bazza.
Yeah, so I
It's
just
a term of endearment.
yeah.
Yeah. If you get a nickname in Australia, if your friends like shorten your name or put a like an O
Well,
or
it's
an
funny
A,
because it's already Bas.
yeah.
So like you would think, oh,
Short.
they wouldn't
So,
Well,
shorten
they
it.
would be elongating your name to Bazza.
yeah, Baz.
So
Okay.
sometimes they'll add an A or an O on the
Any
end,
any vowel.
Yeah.
and
Bassa.
Oh, you can
that's a
call me
term of
Baz.
endearment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question then, Bas, is when you are in your feminine, when you are feeling your feminine calling you,
Mhm.
do you shame yourself for that? Is there any thread of shame in you because the society really shames men for embracing that side of themselves? Yeah.
Okay. In full transparency, I used to do that a lot. Also because of my upbringing, very short. I have been brought up by my mom. My parents divorced when I was young, and my mom was she was very feminist, and she didn't like men so much. So she always gave me the impression and the message that men were bad.
Yeah,
So I
right.
was constantly trying to be more feminine for her to please her because that's what boys want to do. Yeah, they want to please their moms. And when I grew older, and when I how do you say that? Released myself more
Distancing.
from the umbilical cord that I still had there. Um, I was, as an extreme, I was going fully into my masculine to compensate it somehow. And throughout the years, I learned no, I have both, and I want to honor both.
Hmm.
But in the beginning, it was, yeah, I shamed myself, especially when there were remarks from people that say, "Oh, you cannot do that as a man." But now I think, oh, yeah, whatever. You can have your own ideas, and if I want to watch America's Next Top Model or dance through the house, um, why not? It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and also that's also what I in my men's work. That's also what I teach men, that it's like we have both, and of course one of the two mostly is higher than the other, but we also have an inner feminine, and she also needs to be seen and needs to be nurtured in order to feel safe within our own bodies.
Mm,
And
Mm.
that's what we are here to do as masculine containers, also for our own inner feminine.
mm.
Mm.
And when Priska is feeling more masculine in her masculine self, how does that make you feel? Do you feel emasculated when she's in that energy?
Sometimes I do, but then it's more like what I always believe is that the universe always creates some sort of a natural balance,
Mm.
which mostly also happens within us. But when I feel, and I am very much in my masculine, and then when she also is in her masculine, then it starts doing this. But when what mostly happens is actually when I am naturally in my feminine, then because the universe wants this balance, then she rises more up in her masculine. And where I earlier on, whenever she was in her masculine and then didn't like it, I somehow blamed, oh, you should not be there because that's my task. But now I learned that when she is in her masculine and I wanna, that it's my task to amplify my masculine so that she naturally
I can relax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
will relax
right.
more into her feminine again. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me some of the ways you do that? How do you amplify your masculine in a way that makes her feel contained and safe?
Well, the most simple answer is that I start leading more, and that's also leading in the relationship. For example, when I feel something is off, that I start to ask questions, so that
Mm.
I create a direction in which the conversation will go so that she doesn't have to think, oh, and I don't know what to share, and I don't know if I say this, what it will do to him. But also in day-to-day life, when I, for example, bring in more structure, or when I start organizing more things, or where I say, okay, baby, you have a busy day. You know what? I will cook. You just go to your office and you chill and you prepare for the upcoming women's container program that you're going to do, and I will take care of everything. These are the little things that I then mostly do where she can, ah,
Mm.
yeah.
So, Priska, my question to you is, as a fellow female, when you are feeling in your masculine, and do you, because for me, I tend to go into my masculine when I'm freaking out,
Mhm.
when I'm feeling ungrounded, and I
Mm.
need a little bit of that direction to kind of like get me centered again. And it's like, okay, Claudia, get your shit together, like, and then the masculine comes out. Do you feel in that moment when you're, because my impression of that is that I'm needing something. I'm going into the masculine because I'm needing something. And sometimes I'm thinking, am I needing the feminine to come in and comfort me? Or am I needing the container to come in and contain me? So
Mhm.
are you in that headspace when you're in that masculine of knowing what you're needing in that moment? Or are you just leaving it up to Baz? Are you communicating with Baz and saying, look, this is what I need right now?
Mm. So first, I have to distinct between two different kind of being in the masculine, because sometimes I love to be in the masculine because I need my masculine to structure my things, to get shit done, and I like that. That's when I'm in the balance, just in my
Yeah.
everyday life when we're running our business. And then there's the freaking out masculine, like also when I was single, like what and you just have to do everything on your own, and you just, oh my God, I have to all do these things, oh my God, and then I'm in this
Yeah.
energy, and then I just, okay, then I get very hard, and I tell boss what to do, and now you're still not doing this, and I also get in this mood of controlling everything, because then
Yes.
I need to, okay, know where everything is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know what's happening, and then I have learned that over time, because in the beginning I was so bad. I was also, for example, talking about masculine, I was carrying everything, just
Yeah.
doing the groceries. I was carrying, and boss is like,
I
I
was
can
walking
do it.
around with one
yeah.
potato.
It's like I might also do something. No, I'm strong enough. I can do this. This was me in the beginning of our relationship, because I took a lot of pride in being
Yeah.
independent woman, right? So anyhow, I've had to learn to, okay, there's another person, and I can ask him for help. And
Mm.
nowadays, I really, when I feel I'm much more in this energy, that I realize, oh, okay, I'm stressed out. I need him to step up and ask, maybe, can you help me with this, or can you do this and this? So, I have some time to breathe, or to do some meditation, or do some grounding work, or go out in nature. But because of course I also learned what I need in these kind of moments. But sometimes I also don't see it, and he might even see it before I do, that I'm
Yeah.
stressed out, and then he can ask me some question. I'm realizing, oh yeah, wait a second, that's what's happening right now. So
Yeah. Right.
it's both.
Oh, I love that. I love that dynamic because a lot of the time when I'm freaking out or if I'm going down a road, I don't know because I'm in it. I don't know I'm going down that road
Mm.
until,
You're already down the road.
yeah, usually. But unless somebody says something to me to make me realize, snap me
Out of it.
into my presence, like, oh, I'm
Mm.
going down that road.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then I can, take steps for myself
Mm.
to do something that's relieving of that,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
change directions.
Yeah, that's very important, and also to dare to ask for things,
Mhm.
Mm.
because I'm not saying you are doing that, but I know many women also think that men should always know what they need. And,
Yes, so
and
true.
also in the beginning with Priska, I had to tell her several times, baby, I cannot look in your head.
Yeah.
And I want to do everything for you, but sometimes you just have to share what you need, and then I will do it for you 100%. But I cannot look into your soul
Yeah.
and feel what you need in every moment
Yeah.
of the day. So you also have to step up there.
Yeah, and as a tip, it really helps me to have some kind of smoke alarms. You know, when you say you don't know that you're going down that road,
Mm.
I just know when I feel, I know the feeling now. I know exactly when I get, I mostly get annoyed. That's mostly the feeling I get. I get annoyed. Like,
Yeah.
things irritate me. And then I
Yeah.
know something is off, something is out of balance. And then to just wait a second. And then to just take the time to check in with yourself and ask yourself what's off. And if
Mm.
you have these smoke alarms, it really can help you to catch yourself early, that you don't have to go all the way down and be fully stressed out before you're realizing, oh, wait a second, actually, I need to take a bath, or just need to go out into nature, or I just need to ask somebody for help,
Yeah.
or just
Mm.
postpone something.
Yeah. So one thing that about your what you're talking about and the dynamic that you're sharing with us that struck me is when when um, Bas is asking you, I'm not in your head. You need to tell me what's going on. Can you let me in? And when you tell me what you need, I'll be there for you. In my mind, that takes a lot of trust
Hmm.
to be able to express that vulnerability to somebody and know that once you have expressed it to them, that they will show up for you. And I think that in a relationship, that takes practice.
Mm.
And the
Yes.
more the partner is showing up and the more you get to know each other and understand, okay, this is where I need to go, this is what she needs, this is what I need to tell him about what I need. That's, I think, that's a huge kind of cog in the relationship machine, and getting that well oiled and knowing how it works and getting the feel in your relationship for that, I think is really important, because if you're explaining to him, I need this, I need that, and you're not hearing it properly, Buzz, or you know the you're missing something, or it's not
Mm.
fully formed, you can be trying to give her what you think she needs, and it's not landing,
Yeah.
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 And
and then
it's
that can create a mistrust between a couple. You know?
Yeah. Totally.
we had that a lot in the beginning because again we had the blended family,
Yeah,
and like it was also me taking full responsibility and owning my needs, because often I was ashamed of my needs because I
yeah,
didn't want to need that, because I wanted the best for the kids and the system, but this
yeah,
was totally not what I needed. So when I then started to ask him things, that's sometimes also what he didn't want to do, because he just chose not to do it because he didn't want to do it, or it was not good for the best for the system. And I understand it here, but of course in your heart it's like, oh, he's choosing
yeah,
for the system, not for me, oh,
yeah,
again. And you know, we had that constantly, and we had to really work through that later on, because I had a lot of distrust also. It's like even Boss, who loves me so much, he's not prioritizing me, you know.
Yeah.
It was a big thing that we had in our relationship going on, and I knew it cognitively, why not, and I understood it also partially, partially not, partially we could have done things differently, we really could have, but it's a different story. But also this, you know, it's just everybody was doing their best they could, right? Like I
mm,
know that he did, and I did too, and as this his ex, and we all tried to make it work, and it was just a very difficult situation for everybody. And but yeah, it was really like also me, especially me in this situation, to really own my needs. That was a hard, you know, to be that woman who needs these things, you know, because we were all taught to be easy, you know, low maintenance, you know, don't ask for too much, do, be the good girl, be the nice girl. And I felt like such a bitch at times, but I really couldn't do it physically anymore. I felt like I need more space, I need more this, I need more, you know, I can't
yeah,
do this constantly. So to really own these things and then
Yeah.
ask for them, it was huge learning for us, like for
Yeah.
me first, and then for us as a couple, and for him also to prioritize certain things. And it was just like a whole thing. So it's what you say is a really important point to
yeah,
figure that out and to cut each other some slack, because you might ask for something the other doesn't want to give, and to be also honest about that, and then deal with the consequences, and then find the place again where you can meet again.
Mm,
So
Mm.
yeah.
And I think when that dynamic starts to work
mhm,
and it's honed a little bit better and you guys are communicating, or any couple, then you start to see what, in my experience, you start to see the benefit of it working, and then it gives you the fuel to keep going, because it's like
yes,
when it works, it's really good. And
Yeah.
yes,
so if we keep practicing and we keep showing up for each other and we keep learning in the relationship, then that relationship starts to feed back to you
Yeah.
yeah,
and give you the energy.
absolutely,
So you're putting energy in and it's giving energy back to you.
thousand
Yeah, it's
percent.
true. And it's such a gift. Like in the beginning, whenever Priska had like emotional breakdowns, and I felt personally attacked, not because she did that, but because I felt I was not good enough and I could not provide for her.
Mm.
Um, to shift that, and this took time. It's not like easily, oh, I'm going to shift that. Poof, there it is.
Yeah.
To shift that, now it's such a beautiful gift that when Priska has an emotional breakdown and I can just be there
Mm.
without the need of wanting to walk away from it, to
Defending.
fix it, to defend myself, just be there in presence without thinking of a certain outcome, without expectations, just being there and see what it does with her, how she
Mm.
can relax in that is such a beautiful gift for me.
Yeah.
And this is always my number one message for men in relationships out there. And I again, it's not easy to end up there, but it's really such a gift if you can be that presence for your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And also for the for your partner, it's such a beautiful thing if you can just have this space to just be emotional, and it's just safe. You don't have
Mm.
to step out of it again, and you see, you know, but no, you don't, I don't mean it against you, you know, and you explain and you get back into your head and try to fix it again, but you just just let it out, and then it's out, and it's just beautiful. It's just so healing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that experience with each other, the feminine having the trust in the masculine to be able to feel deeply and to be able to be a mess, because the feminine is told so much in society that we must be nice and beautiful
Mhm.
and put together, and you know um, and be, the poster child of beauty,
yeah,
and having strong emotions sometimes is very, very ugly.
Mhm.
And so knowing that you can be emotionally ugly with your partner in a way that that doesn't scare him
Mhm.
and isn't about him,
Mhm.
yeah,
is about it's about expressing what is bubbling up inside you. It's about honoring that
Yeah.
emotion and
mm,
nothing else.
Yeah.
Knowing that, knowing it must be amazing, knowing as a woman being with a man that you have that space, and
It
that
is.
that ability to come back together after all the ugliness and say, wow, I really saw you in that and I still love you.
Mm. Yeah, like it is one of the greatest gifts, absolutely. Like for me, also in an energetic field, sometimes I don't even words.
mm,
Like sometimes I just have to move energy through my body, and he just holds me, and I have an exorcism. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Like you know, like all the feelings that come out, and
Yeah.
tears and sweat and snot and everything that
Yeah.
just like, you know, like just everything, like, and he just holds the space, and it's just afterwards, it's just like, oh, Like just this alone is, and I think it's also for you, you can speak for yourself, but I have the feeling it's also giving you something in a way. It's like not even just because then you think, oh my god, in the beginning I felt like, oh my goodness, he gives all this to me, but realizing this also gives him when he has this trust of mine to just that I can fully let loose and fully, let everything out and just show my ugliest part. Like it's actually not even ugly. We judge it as ugly, but it's just a part of me, but just all
Yes.
my parts, right? Not just the nice and put together ones, but also the ones who are messy, my Kali energy that wants to just destroy and punch something and just all of that. And it's just so beautiful if you have that space to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It makes
I
me.
remember I remember a man saying to me once when I was crying and I was emotional, and I remember a man saying to me once, "Thank you for trusting me enough to show me that side of yourself."
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I was shocked that he said that. I was shocked that he felt that it was a
Gift.
privilege to
Mhm.
witness that side of me. And it opened something in me. It was like, wow, I didn't know that that could be a privilege to someone. But when you
Yeah.
think about it, it is.
It
It
is.
is 100%.
It
Yeah.
is. It is a beautiful privilege. Also, the other way around. When I have to process a certain emotion, and I know I know I can do that with Priska. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, like think about it also when we have clients. I don't know what it does about us. People always cry with us. When we have people, like 99%, they still cry. And I always see this as such a gift that they allow
Yeah.
themselves to just put these masks off, right? And
Mm,
just show this is me. And it's like this feeling of deep connection. And that's such a gift. So it really, when we think about it, it's just such a gift if we allow people to see us this way.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm,
Wow.
Mm.
beautiful.
Okay. I think, yeah, we've gone, oh wow, we've gone overtime by
We've
quite
got
Yeah.
a
that.
Oh,
bit.
hardly felt
Yeah.
hardly felt like an hour actually.
No,
True. It's
no,
true.
it was
Yeah.
just flowing.
Flowing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow. Well, do you feel complete?
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I feel complete, and I would really, really love it if you guys would come on again.
No, we would
We
come
would
again
love to come
immediately.
again.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
You're amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story
Mm,
and for
spending time with us.
spending time with us and having such a beautiful conversation. I received so much.
Yes, we
Yeah.
both did. Yes, I know our audience received a lot from this
Oh,
conversation. So
Wow.
thank you for being here, and until next time.
yes, until
Yeah.
next time. And thank you for
Thank you
having
very much for
us.
having
It was
us
an honor,
and for
really.
being on this ungodly Australian hour
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
it was
many
worth
blessings.
it.
Yeah, it was worth it.
%.
Yes.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
well, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Okay.